I am Nora Dale Allen, former ballerina and currently a dance teacher on Cape Cod. I was born in Ottawa, Canada, and when I was in nursery school, my nursery school teacher told my mother that she thought I had very poor small muscle motor control skills and that I ought to start taking ballet classes. The following year, I did, but by then my parents were living in England, Cambridge, England. My dad was taking his PhD there. So I actually started dancing in England. When I returned to Ottawa, I eventually found my way to the Classical Ballet Company, and at the age of 8, I started a scrapbook. And the very first page in the scrapbook was an article with a beautiful photograph about a Canadian ballerina. Her stage name was Anna Istomina. Her real name was Audrey Thomas, and she was my idol. I took classes, about 4 or 5 classes a week, up through the end of my 7th year in junior high. And I was on full scholarship. I was a junior member of the Classical Ballet Company, and I fully expected that I would continue living in Ottawa, join the company, and become a ballerina when I grew up. But my parents had other plans. At the end of my 7th year, 7th grade, we moved to a suburb of Boston, Winchester. And for me, it was a really difficult move. I was leaving my whole life behind, and it was a hard adjustment. I danced for a couple of years, going into Boston 4 or 5 times a week, but finally wanted to be more involved in the school and activities. I wanted to go to the football games on Saturdays instead of going into Boston to ballet classes, and I wanted to be part of the drama club and work on the yearbook. And so by the end of my sophomore year, I had totally stopped dancing. I actually met and started dating the man who would become my future husband the following year. Graduated from high school, got married, had my daughter, was working to put him through college, but something was missing, and I knew it was dance. So I started taking classes in Boston and eventually ended up taking the company class with the company members of the Boston Ballet Company. And that class was given by E. Virginia Williams, who was the founder and director of the company. And I also took private classes with Sidney Leonard, who was the ballet mistress. And at one point, she asked me if I'd be interested in joining the company. And of course, that was a big thrill. But again, another move was in store. And that was because my husband graduated from college and accepted a job on Cape Cod, and we moved to Bourne. So once again, I thought my whole dance life was over, and I would probably never have much of dance involvement again. However, I did find a local studio, and after my son was born, began taking some more classes, and eventually met a man named Barry Edson, who later on became the director of the original Cape Cod Ballet Company. But at that time, he was involved with a woman named Helen Stevenson, and she would come up from Connecticut every summer, and all summer long there would be daily classes and rehearsals, culminating in a final performance at the end of August of a full-length ballet. And in 1971, they were planning to do Sleeping Beauty. And Barry asked me if I would dance the Bluebird Pas de Deux from that ballet. And of course I said yes. It was such a super thrill. But it was even more of a thrill when I was told that I would be partnered by a young dancer from the New York City ballet area, and came to find out that his name was Gregory Ismailoff. His mother was Audrey Thomas Ismailoff, stage name Anna Istomina. And she actually came to the Cape, and she coached Gregory and me in the Bluebird Pas de Deux. And she gave me a very, very special memento, which is a little stained glass bluebird, which has hung in my kitchen window for these many years, even though it's being broke off and I have to get it fixed. But that was just such a huge thrill and a real catalyst, because I realized that dance was just me. And it was instrumental in my decision to open my own studio the following year, which I did in Monument Beach. And actually, Gregory came back the next summer and partnered me in Swan Lake, which had always been my very favorite ballet, and which actually was the ballet that Anna Istomina was performing in the first photograph in my scrapbook when I was 8 years old. So it was just this feeling that everything came around full circle. So since then, I've continued teaching here at Dance Designs, loving it. Wonderful students, wonderful people I work with, and I'm so blessed to be involved with the dance scene here on the Cape. And I realized that although coming to the Cape at first I thought was a disaster, that probably all the things I've experienced here I would not have experienced had I been in a big city atmosphere and environment and very competitive. I probably never would have danced all the major roles I've danced. I probably would not have had the teaching career that I've had. And as I said before, it probably never would have happened had I not had major moves in my life.